A little bit of a Cavalier update. I have done a few little things on this car that I didn't film. So one of the things I did was the cam belt was very noisy, which means that it was a little bit tight. So in order to get rid of that and to reduce the tightness, you have to actually rotate the water pump slightly. So I drained the car of coolant and loosened the water pump a little bit and then rotated it very, very slightly just to reduce the tension on that belt. And now it's a lot quieter, so I'm very pleased with that. The other thing that has happened is the Cavalier has had some new tyres fitted. So these are actually tyres from this decade rather than from the 1990s. So I actually finally was able to take it for a proper drive the other day. I took it for an 80-mile jaunt to the edge of Norfolk and it performed fantastically. However, doing that jaunt did kind of reveal a couple of little niggles on the car that means that I need to sort those out. So the first one is that the radio is obviously only medium wave, long wave radio, so I was having to listen to Radio 5 Live, which actually was quite interesting, to be honest. They had an interview with James Timpson and it was absolutely fascinating about how bosses can be kind and still be decent bosses and run successful companies. I really enjoyed that, actually. It was something I wouldn't have listened to otherwise, but nevertheless I do like the idea of having some music and some choice on what I listen to, so I'm going to put in an FM radio into the car, which I can also use my FM transmitter so I can listen to things off my phone. The other niggle is that the driver's door window doesn't quite go all the way up. There's a little bit loose in it, and so there's like a gap near the top. You can help it up with your hands and close it completely, but if you kind of roll it down again, you can't do that without stopping the car and getting out and kind of giving it a helping hand again. So I need to pop the door card off and have a look at what's going on with that window and see if it just needs tightening or something like that. Hopefully it's something quite simple. Other niggles are there is a fuel line coming out of the tank that just needs to be replaced because it's looking a little bit worse for wear, a little bit old, although it's not smelling of fuel, so it can't be that bad. And I'm sure there are a myriad of other little things, but at the moment those are the ones I'm dealing with today. Oh, the other thing is that the odometer doesn't work, and I'm going to see if I can take the speedo out and see if there's some way of releasing that odometer. It must be seized or something. It may not be able to. There is one on eBay that I can buy if necessary. Okay, that is the instrument panel removed, so I need to take it apart, see if I can have a look at the odometer. That's inside the dash. That was really horrible getting the speedometer cable off, by the way. There's basically no access for your hand behind there, but I managed to find a little tiny slot where I could get my reasonably small hands in, so that's good. I think I also have access to the radio there as well, which is why I did this job first, because it's not entirely clear how you get access to the back of the radio. So now I do, so I can see if I can reach around and undo that as well at some point soon. Well, having taken the cover off the instrument cluster panel, I think I can see why the odometer isn't working. There's half a broken gear there. Oh dear. I might be able to glue it back, who knows? I can have a go. Yeah, that's the other half of the cog or the gear. I'll see if I can glue it back together again with some super glue and see if that might work. It's a really clean break, so it might work, it might not. Well, it's super glued and in place. Let's see if it works and how long it lasts. I've had to take half my dashboard apart so far to try and get at this radio. It seems to be held, even though I can get at it from this side, it seems to be held by 4 incredibly strong springy clips that I just can't get a grip on. So I'm going to see if I can get this entire panel that this radio is attached to off somehow. I don't really know. I will play with it and see how far I get. I just popped the clock out and discovered that it's not actually connected, which is probably why it doesn't work. I wonder why it's been disconnected though. It might be draining the battery or something like that, I suspect. Oh my goodness, I've seriously been at this bloody radio for probably a good 40 minutes trying to get it out of the dashboard. It's stuck on there with 4 metal spring clips that are the strongest spring clips I have ever seen. I don't know whether you can see them there. You see one just there? Hopefully you can see one on the top there, kind of holding it with a cable tie. So there's one of those on top and bottom on both sides, and they are the strongest thing I've ever come across. My brainwave was at the minute to put a cable tie around them to put a bit of tension on all of them. I think that has slightly worked, and I finally got the left hand side of the radio to pop out of the dash. So just need to try and get the right hand side, which is actually the side I can get hold of better, but it just won't come out. Anyway, once I get that out, then we can move on. But my god, this has been an epic, and I had to take like the entire dashboard apart in order to get at it. Oh my days, this was an absolute nightmare. In the end, the entire heater panel came out with the radio, which is still attached to it. That one there is my naughty clip that just won't come out. Anyway, I think that's a bit of success at this stage. What a nightmare. That was one of the hardest jobs I've had to do. Honestly, that clip, all of them, they were so unbelievably strong. It's like an unstealable radio. They're the strongest things I've ever come across. Like, my hands are absolutely aching with pain now. Anyway, it's out. Let's see if we can figure out how to make this wiring adapt it for the new one.
So I would let my children play rugby, no problem.
Let's tune into radio 2, and all 4 speakers work.
Medical care was there.
Happy days. Now we need to get it.
I don't think you can. You start going along this path.
Need to get it properly tuned into the dashboard, which I think needs to find a cage for it somewhere. So I'll see what I can do, or some sort of support for it, because otherwise it's a bit loose. See what I can do. Right, I've got the cage in place. Found it from another random stereo I had in the attic. So let's get the radio in properly and wire it up before I click it in place, make sure it all works again, and then we get the dashboard back together again and the instrument cluster back on. Phew! Well, there is the car all back together again. I really hope I haven't damaged anything in the instrument cluster. There's a radio in place and the dash in place. I've reconnected the clock and it does seem to be moving a little bit when you set it, so we'll see if it actually keeps time. The only other point to note is that instrument cluster, you can see that the bezel doesn't fit properly. I have tried and tried and tried, and it just does not fit any better than that, because the top of the steering column, like it fouls against it. You can't go down anymore on the left without sort of destroying the steering column, and so it's really unusual that that finish or that fit is so poor on this car. But I think it's meant to be like that on this car. It isn't that someone screwed something in the wrong place, or, you know, has failed to hook a little trim clip on or something like that. That is the best that I can do, which I'm a bit disappointed about, but there we are. It is what it is. Well, my radio is now connected. I'm going to turn that off so we don't get a thingy. And if I go into P1, we get to 87.5, which is connected to my FM transmitter, which is in the cigarette lighter ashtray place. Fantastic, and it works too, although I can't play it from my phone whilst I'm recording it, but I promise you it works. Dashboard's all back together, the lights all work, fuel gauge works, so hopefully there's the lights. So hopefully I haven't done any particular damage, and I'll be interested to see whether the odometer works. Exciting times. Right, I'm having a look inside this driver's door to see if I can work out what's going on with the window. I'll show you what the problem is. So if I put the window all the way up, you will see just as it goes up, it starts to come towards the front and tilt forward slightly, and then leaves just a tiny little gap there at the top. It's enough for wind to blow in. As soon as you release it a little bit, it goes down, but right at the very top, it goes and leaves that gap. So I can't see there's anything wrong with the way that the glass sits in the runners or anything like that. The only thing I can see where there's adjustment is that you can adjust with these screws kind of possibly the angle of the mechanism. So I'll give that a go, see if I can adjust the angle a little bit, but I'm not particularly hopeful that it's going to do anything much, to be honest. Might be one of those situations where I might have to get a new window mechanism, because obviously something's worn in it. I'll play around with it and see what I can do though. Okay, I've now adjusted these screws, which has actually tilted the entire window mechanism back a little bit, so I wonder if it has fixed it. Let's put the window up and see how we go. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, it's better. I still think there's a tiny gap there though, but it's better. Might do a little bit more, see how we go. Okay, that's the best I can do. I'll have a look next time I go for a drive and see whether there's still any wind getting in or whether it's just about managing to seal. Let's get the door card back on and the car back together. My final job for today is to replace this slightly sorry looking rubber fuel line that comes out of the fuel tank into the main solid fuel line that goes to the engine. So my idea is I am going to clamp this off with a little clamp so that it doesn't leak out of the tank, undo it from the car end, put the new one on the car end, and then very, very quickly whip the tank one off and put the new one on the tank. That's the theory. Hopefully it will work out. I'm not going to film it because that is too difficult. I need many hands for this, probably more than the 2 I have. Well, there we go. The new fuel line is in place, and I hope you'll agree that is looking a damn sight better than the old skanky one, which is here. My method did work, clamping this off, which gave me time to then connect this end to the car's hard fuel line, and then I very quickly pulled on the tank end and stuck the new one on. But of course I did chuck quite a bit of petrol onto the floor, but that's kind of unavoidable, to be honest. Anyway, that's done.